This chilling case unfolded in the summer of 2024, a haunting reminder of how coordinated efforts between state services can save lives. 6-year-old Jalie Brunette survived. But for her bright and spirited little sister, Erin, the killer's face was the last thing she ever saw. The police and FBI were agonizingly close. Mere hours stood between life and death. To this day, many involved in the operation wonder if they could have done more. Let's get to the heart of the story. Callie Jo Brunette, 35, was a proud native of Loranger, Louisiana. She'd grown up in the quiet rhythms of the South, attending Loranger High School and joining the flag team. Later, she studied barbering and medical technology at Hammond Technical High School. Her roots ran deep in Louisiana's farmland, a heritage Callie cherished. The Brunettes had been farming the same land for generations, and Callie embraced this grounded life, surrounded by family and nature. She never shied away from her country upbringing. If anything, she wore it as a badge of honor. Every October, her family's farm hosted Old Farmer's Day, a tradition since 1973. Thousands of visitors flocked to the Brunette land for music, fairs, contests, and hands-on lessons about old-school farming. The festival brought joy to everyone, especially Callie's 2 daughters, 6-year-old Jalie and 4-year-old Erin. For the girls, it was the highlight of the year. Erin Nicole Brunette was born on October 28, 2019, in Covington, Louisiana. Described as a little ball of fire, Erin was brimming with energy, always darting from one activity to another. Her stuffed elephant, her constant companion, was a testament to her innocence. She idolized her older sister, Jalie, who returned that love tenfold. Wherever they went, it was always the same image: Erin, Jalie, and the elephant. They were inseparable. For Callie, her daughters were her world. The Brunette family was close-knit, with grandparents, great-grandmothers, aunts, uncles, and cousins filling the children's lives with love and laughter. Summers were calm, predictable, until June of 2024, when their lives were shattered. Callie's ex-boyfriend, Daniel Callihan, reappeared that summer. Their history was long and complicated. They'd broken up nearly 13 years earlier, but Daniel had a habit of resurfacing before disappearing just as suddenly. Callie and her family saw him as charming, if unreliable. What they didn't know was that Daniel carried a dark legacy. Daniel was the son of Kelly Wayne Drott, a name infamous in Louisiana's criminal history. In the 1990s, Drott had abducted 18-year-old Rebecca Forbes after an Italian festival in Independence. He beat her to death and left her body in the Tangipahoa River, where she was found weeks later, badly decomposed. Drott pleaded guilty to manslaughter, insisting it was an accident, and received a 25-year sentence. But he escaped prison, killing another woman and kidnapping a teenage girl before taking his own life. Daniel had only been a toddler at the time, but his father's crimes cast a long shadow. Thursday, June 13, 2024 began like any other day, until it didn't. Callie's mother, Debbie, grew concerned when she couldn't reach her daughter. She'd last spoken to Callie the day before, and silence was unusual. Despite living just down the street, the two were in constant contact, calling or visiting daily. By 8 a.m., Debbie's unease turned to action. She drove to Callie's house to check on her. The first thing Debbie noticed was the absence of Callie's car, a Chrysler 200. Strange, she thought. Had Callie gone out so early? Or hadn't she come home at all? When Debbie entered the house, an eerie silence greeted her. She called out, but heard nothing. Making her way to the bedroom, she stopped cold. What she saw would haunt her forever. Debbie found Callie lying dead, her body covered in multiple stab wounds. It was a brutal, violent attack, one that left no chance for survival. According to the autopsy, Callie suffered numerous forceful injuries, with stab wounds to her head, neck, chest, and back. The wounds on her arms showed clear signs of a desperate struggle. She fought for her life, but the killer was relentless. The horror of that moment is unimaginable, especially for a mother. But the thought of her granddaughters gave Debbie the strength to pull herself together and start searching for Jalie and Erin. That's when another nightmare unfolded. Her granddaughters were missing. Debbie immediately called 911 to report both the murder and the missing girls. An Amber Alert was issued, and law enforcement launched a search for Callie's stolen vehicle, believing the girls had been abducted. Investigators quickly ran the license plate and discovered that the car was headed north toward Jackson, Mississippi. By the evening of June 12th, at around 6 p.m., the car had been spotted in Byram, Mississippi. Surveillance footage from a McDonald's parking lot captured a white male driving the stolen vehicle. He was seen attempting to change a tire, while, in the back seat, 2 small figures were visible, 2 children. Investigators immediately suspected that these were the missing girls, Jalie and Erin. Meanwhile, back on June 12th, a woman named Dixie Hemphill received messages from Callie's Facebook account. But the messages weren't from Callie. They were from her brother, Daniel Callihan. In the messages, Daniel admitted he had done something bad and asked Dixie for money, requesting a wire transfer via Cash App. But something felt off. Dixie knew her brother well and had a bad feeling about the situation. Instead of sending money, she alerted authorities. By then, law enforcement had already started piecing everything together. They identified 36-year-old Daniel Callihan as the primary suspect in Callie's murder and the abduction of her daughters. With the case crossing state lines, the FBI and the U.S. Marshals Task Force joined the search. On June 13th, just hours after the girls were reported missing, Marshals tracked the last known location of Callie's car to Byram, Mississippi. Soon after, an undercover officer spotted Callihan walking along Terry Road in Jackson. He appeared to be casing houses. When he noticed law enforcement, he tried to flee, but officers quickly apprehended him. But the girls weren't with him. A frantic search continued until officers received a tip from 2 civilians who reported hearing children screaming in the woods behind a home on Bruzier Drive. Officers rushed to the scene. The property was abandoned, unfinished, and secluded. No one lived there. About 20 yards from the house, they found Callie's stolen car. Then, deeper in the woods, they made a grim discovery. Jalie and Erin were found inside a pit. Authorities held their breath, praying both girls were alive. But tragically, only 6-year-old Jalie survived. Her 4-year-old sister, Erin, was dead. Jalie was rushed to the Mississippi Medical Center for treatment. Meanwhile, Callihan was taken into custody. He didn't deny what he had done. In fact, he confessed almost immediately. He told officers that he had stabbed Callie approximately 30 times in her home. He admitted that he had wanted to kill her for years, but didn't explain why. According to his sister, Daniel and Callie had dated 13 years ago, but it's unclear why he still harbored so much rage toward her after all that time. After murdering Callie, he took the girls, driving over 100 miles to the house on Bruzier Drive. Once there, Jalie and Erin were crying, terrified. They begged not to stay with him. Callihan knew law enforcement was closing in on him. That's when he made a chilling decision. He killed Erin. According to the Mississippi police chief, Erin was strangled to death. Callihan later admitted that he spared Jalie because he wanted to keep her as a sex doll. He also confessed that he killed Erin because the police were closing in. His actions were as senseless as they were monstrous. After his initial confession, Callihan was formally charged with 2 counts of murder and sexual battery. In a bizarre turn, he later spoke to the media, openly admitting his crimes. He claimed that he was sober at the time of Erin's murder, taking Lexapro, and had no drugs in his system. He offered no real reason for his actions, but said he had borderline or multiple personality disorder. He also mentioned being on suicide watch, though he insisted he wasn't suicidal. Then, in an almost detached manner, he stated that he was sorry and that he deserved the death penalty.
I want to say I was sober and only on Lexapro and off Lexapro, and I'm also diagnosed borderline with a multiple personality disorder.
As Callihan sat in jail making these confessions, law enforcement continued investigating the property where Erin had been found. Authorities noted that the house's remote location was no coincidence. Whoever took the girls there knew the area well. Then, a disturbing revelation surfaced. According to his sister, Daniel had been a lifelong criminal. She had previously contacted the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, suspecting him of involvement in the disappearance of a missing man. She also revealed that he had once confessed to molesting a child. Though a case against him was brought before a grand jury, there wasn't enough evidence to indict him. He walked free. This case left a lasting impact, not only because of its brutality, but because of the words spoken by Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade. On January 3, 2025, after weeks of investigation, U.S. Attorney Dwayne Evans announced that 37-year-old Daniel Wayne Callihan of Louisiana had been indicted on multiple charges: kidnapping resulting in death, carrying a mandatory life sentence with up to 3 years of supervised release and a fine of up to $250,000, transportation of a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual conduct, carrying a minimum of 10 years to life in prison, at least 5 years of supervised release, and a fine of up to $250,000. This charge could also require Callihan to register as a sex offender if convicted. Attorney Evans reminded the public that an indictment is merely an accusation, and that guilt must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. But in this case, there was little doubt. Daniel Callihan deserved every single charge against him. Still, no amount of justice could bring back Callie or little Erin Brunette. Rest in peace, Callie and Erin. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case in the comments, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me and keeps me motivated to bring you more in-depth investigations. Stay safe, everyone.